Welcome to the fourth virtual conference session of GovHack for this year. Thank you for registering and joining us today. I'm Zaidul Alam, the Data Team Lead of GovHack 2020. Today we are going to present an introductory session on data science. Let me introduce Aman Agarwal, who will be presenting us today. Okay, thank you. Aman is now working in Svelte as a machine learning engineer and an active member of GovHack data team. Aman also participated in last 2 years GovHack competition. Now I'm handing over to Aman. Off to Aman.
Thank you, Zedul, for the introduction. Hi guys. I am Aman Agarwal, and today I'll be taking you through a workshop on introduction to data science. Let's start by talking about a bit myself. I'm a machine learning engineer at Swell Studios. It's a startup in Adelaide. I also write for Towards Data Science publication on Medium. I'm just a very new blogger, so you can definitely check me out on Medium as well. And well, to start with this workshop today, the first question that comes to my mind is, what is data science exactly? So, data science is a field that deals with the extraction of knowledge and insights from large sources of data. Some may say that it's largely a computer science field, but I would say that with the experience that I have had in working in this field now, it's it's not really restricted to folks from computer science background or say just machine learning engineers per se. It's a field that's open for anyone and everyone with expertise lying in any one of the major fields like finance or say even government agencies like water or policies, anywhere where there, the organization deals with a large amount of data, you would find a data scientist working. Um, so again, as we said, it's a growing field in today's world, and as organizations have increased their power of data collection, this working with data has increased tremendously in the last few years. Uh, so, in the context of GovHack, when we say why data science, why do you need data science knowledge in a competition like GovHack? Well, for starters, it's an amalgamation or a common point between business and data. So, business being your organization. In our case, it's our sponsors which come up with challenges, and the data sets that we provide for you to work on, and the common point of both of these things is data science. So before we start, some common caveats. Firstly, it's a very common misconception. Machine learning is not data science. It is definitely very much a part of data science, but it is not the only thing a data scientist would do. Um, Generally, machine learning is a study or applying of algorithms and trying to get better and better each day. But when you try to define data science, it's it starts from the point where you try to understand a client's needs, what the business solution should be, and ends when you successfully deliver a product. All the things that are in a data scientist repertoire are just a part of it. So data engineering, data warehousing, these are common skills that you need to get your data moving in a stream processing world. Everything working on a large amounts of incoming data. You need these skills like data engineering and warehousing in order to feed your analytics engine. Then comes business analytics. This is where the business acumen or understanding of a business problem and trying to solve it through, say, financial intelligence or policies comes into the picture. Uh, then, as we discussed, machine learning, knowledge of algorithms, computer science background, everything related to how to optimize a learning problem. That's where machine learning lies. Then other skills like statistics and visualization also are very important pillars in data science. However, when it comes to GovHack, you would not choose to care about data engineering and warehousing because uh, in uh, in our sort of competition, we do provide you with um, the data in a tabular format, so you don't really have to worry too much about how you would be, sourcing data or how would you be managing the incoming data. You just need to find a way how to load data in your program. Also, you don't need to care about big data because again, that's a very different problem to deal with. It really isn't what we are going to present you with. So moving on from the caveats, let me just give you an idea of skills checklist that you need to have in order to make a very good team. And all of the skills that I'm going to discuss here, it's not necessary that it's a one fit for all kind of a solution. Your team can be very diverse. We have had participants in previous years who just proposed some very creative solutions that did not require any of these skills and won big prizes. So again, it's not a one fit for all solution, but when it comes to solving a out and out data science problem, I believe that these are the must haves in your team. So you should one have very strong data manipulation and wrangling skills. Um, to get a larger picture, or you must say a broader picture of your data set, how it looks like, you need to see and explore that data set first. And that only comes when you can, successfully, pivot a table or manipulate and bring data into a representable form which you can draw insights from. Secondly, it's a very strongly related point from the first one, an eye for visualization. So it is said that great stories are told by amazing pictures, and what better than having diagrams to speak for what you're trying to show the world. So when it comes to visualization, you need to really see what the distribution of your data looks like, how spread it is, what is the sample size of your population, many technical things, but it's the larger picture is that your visualization must speak for what you're trying to look into the data. Then the third thing is solution prototyping, and I think this is one of the most important skills to have. Um, so when you think of a product or a solution that you would want to pitch as a submission to GovHack, you need to make sure that it's in some sort of a workable prototype form. It can obviously be an idea or just a pitch, but it's always great to have your solution uh, in some sort of working format. So solution prototyping can be in the form of just normal wireframes. You can just build some UI samples for the judges to see and literally explore how your idea would work in real life, which is very key for them to decide how good a solution you have produced. Also, you need to look at uh, some common open source, preferably solutions which are prototyping tools. There are some tools available from Adobe, but I mean not everyone would be able to access it. So I would just recommend before you prepare yourself for the GovHack weekend, just look and explore for some prototyping solutions that you would be using on competition days. And moving on from the essential skills to the skills that are not really must have, but they are really good for a winning recipe. Programming, firstly. So not everyone that participates um, is a typical hacker in the sense, or a typical programmer. um, But if you can manage at least one person in the team who can understand algorithmic aspect of, say, writing code, and even a bit is well versed with how common machine learning algorithms work, that would be a key bonus in any of your data science endeavors. Not for all, but at least one member in your team must be a programmer, is my advice. Secondly, and most importantly, and this is not the domain of data science, but video editing. Uh, Being a participant for the last 2 years, I've noticed that when it comes to pitching a solution, your solution is not a person. It won't speak for itself. And the only way you're going to make it happen is through a video. And in GovHack, one of the most important submissions you would make would be a video submission on YouTube. So it would be very handy to have some editing skills, be it in very basic softwares like Windows Movie Maker, or on Mac you can use QuickTime. Um, but video editing is one of the really key things that I found out. Takes a lot of time, but once you get the video right, your solution or your pitch becomes way better. So just keep that in mind as well. And lastly, and this is one of the things that I have personally used in both the hackathons that I have taken part in, is cloud tools. So sometimes, setting up an environment on locally on your PC is not the best thing to do, because it requires every participant in your team to have that in order to work together. In that case, I would say AWS has a few tools which are like really good. If you are well versed with Jupyter notebooks or Python environment, then SageMaker is one such product wherein you can just work on notebooks that are hosted in online cloud servers, and it makes very easy to work in a team. So that's my recommendation. Not really essential for all all teams, but it's gonna make your life easier. So after having discussing the skills checklist, let's move on to um, talking about how to identify whether the problem that you are trying to solve is it even a data science problem or not. So let's take like, an example of Airbnb, which back in 2015 um, introduced a regression model which helped new renters or new users on its app to predict what their property prices should be. And they did this with the help of a lot of features that they had researched and built a machine learning model on. And based on users preferences of of the type of host that they would want, the length of stay or duration, and the locality where their property was located in, all these factors came into the play and were used by Airbnb to predict property prices and
I think we lose Aman. He's back. Yeah, Aman. Yeah, yeah, Aman, you are mute.
yeah, sorry about that. Was okay. So as I was saying, how to identify a data science problem. So Airbnb started using a dynamic regression model, which basically helped. their renters to set prices for their property listing. Now, in 2015, data science was still burgeoning bubble. It was not really that big as it is today, and just a very simple regression model helped them, boost up their revenues by fairly big margins, and they became a very strong player in the renting market. So that's how this is one of the ways how you can perceive a problem statement and try to implement data science solution to it. On the flip side, what is not a data science solution? So, as we have seen, a regression problem applied to predict rent, but you cannot predict, say, a fishing boat sales using cattle population data. They just don't match. It doesn't make sense. And this is obviously an exaggerated example that I'm using to tell you where exactly you need to avoid the excitement to use data science. Um, One of the key things that you need to keep in mind on competition days is that if two data points or two features are appear very correlated to each other, it does not mean that you know they are a causation for either of them. uh, it's sort of a very basic principle that uh, you know data science enthusiasts are taught earlier in the career. Correlation is not causation. And secondly, whatever data sets that you may choose to use, it should always be representative and sufficient. So, say for example, you cannot really perform a kind of a solution on a data set that has just 10 rows, because it's not going to represent an entire population that would be your target population. You need a sufficient sample, say at least 1,000, 2,000 rows to begin with. Obviously the more the better, but you should always take care that your sample that you're using is statistically sufficient. So coming back to what you're going to experience on competition day, this is how a normal challenge on hackerspace looks like. So you would have a sponsor coming up with a challenge and asking you some things, some outcomes that they need from that particular challenge submission. So in my case, this was one of the challenges that I worked on last year, and the challenge was from AWS. They wanted to sort of create or showcase a public transportation future, and a solution revolving around that future. Um, they and the choice of data sets was left entirely on us, but that's not the case with every challenge. So you need to note what's the eligible data sets that you would have to use. Some of the sponsors want you to use their own data sets, so that's good, that you don't have to hunt for a data set yourself. But in this case, what I or my team did in after reading this challenge was to find open data sets that could give us some insights into what are the current problems being faced in the current transportation systems of each cities. So some brainstorming led us to an issue with a lot of traffic congestion happening in main or metropolitan or CBD areas of very large cities like Sydney, and Melbourne, and also Adelaide for that matter, where there was a lot of crisis related to parking. People could not find parking spots, especially in morning hours, which were the rush hours. So we wanted to find a data set that could explain what are the reasons for such an issue to happen in the first place. Um, so in this case, if you were given this problem, the way you could go about it is to find traffic congestion data, if available from, say, from the transport authorities of any government agency. If you're specifically looking in an Australian city, but since it's an international challenge, you are open to actually look at any transport authority data from the world. After you finalize on data sets, you also need to see what are the common solutions available. So in our case, what we wanted to check was uh, how many uh, how many parking spaces or parking companies were available inside and outside of the CBD for certain cities, say Adelaide, for in our case, and what were their parking prices, and what were their normal congestion data looked like. So were they mostly available during the day, or was it during evening? Whatever, but you need to look at around those lines. And for all these things, when you're exploring a data set, you need to you need to check the distribution of say certain parameters, like what was the average traffic entry, or what was the average parking ticket price of a certain company. uh, After looking at these things, I'm pretty sure that you'll start to realize what kind of problem are you trying to solve in that scenario. So um, I have some sample steps that you can utilize when you are in such a situation on competition day. Find relevant data sets. That's the key. Sometimes you would uh, struggle to find the exact data set for a particular problem, but you're always open to choose any open data set that is provided that it comes from a very legitimate source. So any government agency is a legitimate source for GovHack. You just need to make sure that the data is abiding by the open data guidelines. Then step two, as I said before, you need to visualize the data. You need to investigate what sort of problem scope would that particular data set be able to solve. And for your benefit, you can also create charts and graphs uh, to understand its distribution. The way it helped me in my previous hack was that we started out to build a data science focused solution, and in the end we had to change our solution from a out and out data science solution to an analytics engine for a disaster reporting application. And in that, we the work that we had done in creating charts and graphs to just explore the data, we actually used all those visualizations as part of our um, application dashboard. So um, this was one of the case where we used it in a different scenario, but it's always good to have some visualizations at hand. Then step three, uh, make a hypothesis. So by hypothesis, it's basically a general assumption that you make about a solution towards that problem. And what you need to do is you just need to work on proving whether that hypothesis that you've made is it right or wrong. Um, and all the evidence that you would um, be generating to prove whether that hypothesis was right or wrong is your work in, say, exploring the data, or working on an ML model which predicts something that you would wanted to prove. Then uh, when would you know that this particular problem um, is going to be solved by, say, machine learning? There are some key terms. If your solution have these terms like predict, or say classify, analyze, then you're pretty sure that data science can be a viable solution to it. Then the last step in a sample problem would be to measure the business impact that this solution would provide. So after you have proved that your hypothesis was right or wrong, you need to make sure that your your solution is a viable one, can be prototyped quickly so that you can submit it on time, and also it has some sort of a business impact for the sponsor or the organization that the challenge is from. This is a very key thing that you would have to keep in mind. Just giving a very highly accurate model in the end is not really a good measure for a successful submission, because most of the times in data science, what happens is there are some misleading metrics that can guide you in the wrong direction. Say for example, if you're working in a very um, unbalanced data set which has uh, so let me take an example of stock forecasting. So suppose if you are trying to build a stock predictor, and you have created a decision tree learning model uh, to predict whether the next step your model should take would should be a buy that stock or sell that stock, or hold, keep on holding whatever it is. And if your decision tree is trained on an unbalanced training data, which has a lot of hold decisions, you'll ultimately be left with a very highly accurate decision tree, but it only predicts hold decisions if the data is unbalanced. So that's one thing that you need to make sure. uh, Accuracy is not the only metric. You need to check whether your model can be generalized to real world data set. And this brings me to the end of my presentation. I am open to questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Aman, for the very insightful analysis of, introduction about data science and how the competitors, like GovHack competitors, can use data science tools and methods to solve the GovHack challenges. So I have a few questions about it. Uh, like, so when you are exploring data, like what are the challenges you faced to find out quick open data set that maybe fits with your projected solution or your hypothesis?
Sorry, I actually couldn't catch that on the first go. Can you
Okay.
just repeat the
Yeah,
question?
sure.
Sorry.
So my question is like, what are the challenges you face to, find out the possible open data sets when there is no, and definitely you are trying to create a solution that, combine multiple data sets. One data set can be coming from the challenge provider, but you also need to find out other data set that can relate with it. What are the challenges you face to uh, search and find out those data sets that can be fit with your maybe possible solution or the hypothesis you are trying to explore?
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. So that's actually a very nice question. Um, the main challenges, I think, is in creating a unified, say, a data warehouse, and not even data warehouse actually, just making uh, an amalgamation of what the sponsor has provided you with, the data set that your sponsor provides you with, and getting some other data that would fit into the same row. So, say for example, you're working with a COVID data set for uh, pan Australia level, and the problem that you're trying to solve is when so an example would be, when would the peak be coming in a country like India. So obviously uh, a data set on an Australia level would not be helpful or sufficient enough to uh, guide your solution for some other country. um, so in that case, I think firstly uh, you need to basically see the guidelines for sourcing data. So on GovHack website, we have a page which has guidelines on how to source open data sets. It should also You should also note there are a few websites that you can look at, like Kaggle, for example, which is a very comprehensive website for data scientists. You can find a lot of data sets from there. In fact, my first year in GovHack, we could not find a data set for a particular problem that we are trying to solve. And it was incidentally a bushfire problem. We found a very good data set on Kaggle, and it also met the open data guidelines of GovHack. So you definitely need to be open to a lot other websites. You need to make yourself aware about these websites, definitely. Secondly, if you are struggling with any such issue on competition day, you would be aware about facilitators there. There would be mentors coming to you. So if you do need help with understanding what kind of data should should you use to solve a problem, you can always contact your facilitators or mentors in that case.
Thank you, Aman. We got a question from Jeff. Uh, Great case study, Aman. What was your team composition like? What was everyone developer, or what was the mix skills you had on your team?
Okay. Yeah. So in my first year, I had a team which was uh, pretty uh, pretty much composed of a lot of developers, I would say, because it was a team which I was basically participating with a lot of my classmates and like all of us studying the same course. So we had a bit of developer oriented team, but we did manage to get on board or merge with other participants who were mostly in the policy side of things. And believe you, I must say that having a, a person well versed with policy on our team was worked wonders, because a lot of things that we tried, or a lot of solutions that we tried to propose, they were technically very sound, but implementation wise, whether they would be approved of by the government or any agency, that required a lot of understanding of how policy system works. So uh, in the second year, we had a bit more diversity in our team. So we had two or three maybe individuals working in the industry in different areas. So we had a data scientist on our team. We had a policymaker, and also a marketing person on our team. And obviously, I, being more towards the machine learning aspect of things, I was on the team as primarily as a developer. So it's always better to have a lot of diversity. So you need to have someone from marketing, someone from policy, someone in development, and somebody from definitely from the industry who knows how at least local organizations or local agencies, what their exact requirements are, and that's most perceivable by persons who are working in the industry already.
Yeah, thank you, Aman. Also, that I think there is someone is required who has some skills of creative things like creating videos or like prototypes and graphics and all these things as well. What do you think?
Definitely, I think creativity is one of the most key skills that any hackathon requires. So if you can build a solution but not um, present it in such a way that is that the judges won't understand, or a common person won't understand, it's very hard to make the cut for the final round in GovHack. And it's a very competitive competition. People working all 3 days. And I think the common mistake that people do, and I would be speaking this from my own experience, is that they focus on video editing only at a very later stage. So after, say, almost three-fourths of the competition time has gone by, and in the last 25% of the time they focus on video making. I I don't think that that's an ideal thing to do, mainly because video editing takes time. Not just computation wise, but also creativity wise. You need to go through your video over and over again, just to know whether it makes that connect with the audience or not. And it may take you more than a day's time. So I would say do invest in a participant or a team member who can sort of handle video editing as well. It would be a very good bonus for your team.
Yeah, thank you, Aman. We got a question from me. In case you know it, anyway, interesting name. Okay, so the question is, are there any online course or like Coursera or something like this that you are aware of that can do a crash course on data science?
Yeah. So this one such course that I got started with in basically everything, say from Python to um, just uh, a hint of machine learning models, what they are, and obviously the Jupyter Notebooks environment. There is this course called uh, Complete Data Science Bootcamp. I think it's hosted on Udemy, and the instructor is Jose Portilla. So he is one of the most influential speakers in data science world. He has a lot of articles published on various publications as well, and it's a very easy beginner level course. That's where I started from, and for those who are like really new to Python or data science as a whole, I think starting it from that course would be good enough to participate in GovHack.
Excellent. Uh, you already mentioned some of the tools like SageMaker, Python. Not everyone has the skills or previous knowledge about these things. There can be very very general tools that can be also used to explore the open data and solve the challenges like Excel or any other quick tools that can the participants quickly use and find out the insights among data and connect different data set and make a good solution. You can suggest some tools like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are a lot of tools on the statistical side. So you have tools like Vika, which basically just takes in a data set in CSV format or any other text format that is readable, and you can if you have a bit of a background in how algorithms work, you can without any need of coding, you can draw insights from the input data sets using any of the machine learning models that are available on that tool. There are also other tools if you're on the statistics side of things and want to perform some analysis. There is Minitab. There are some excellent visualization tools like Tableau, Power BI, um, which you can. They're like really good to begin with. Also, Excel is one very well known and still widely used tool in data science that you can make use of. I think your exploratory data analysis and everything can be achieved using Excel alone. So if there are any non-Python guys here watching this, I would just say that if you are, if you're still very much comfortable in Excel, you can still perform the same steps in a tool like Excel, and you should be good to go.
Okay, thank you. For the young participants, like how would you recommend they should get started? Like who are very young and not have expertise on all those sophisticated tools, and would opening the data in Excel and something that can create some graph and find out the insights from it. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, exactly what I said earlier. For the young participants, it's very important to firstly um, enjoy the process. how how hackathons and how people work in hackathons. That's a very good learning curve. I wish when I was younger I had been a part of a hackathon myself, because it's a very interesting learning process. You have people communicating with each other. Hopefully this time when everything is virtual, we would be able to have that sort of or that level of communication this year as well. uh, and coming to using Excel, I think yes, if any young person who has used Excel before can definitely play around with the data sets that will be made available on Hackerspace. One thing that we as a data team are making sure is that all the data sets that are available would be in a very structured format, so you don't have to really spend a lot of time on cleaning data or making sense out of different columns. Everything would be provided on Hackerspace would be like very well defined. So that's one key thing to get started with. And just normal graphing and some data crunching on Excel uh, can get some very interesting results. And I'm pretty sure that something really good would come out this year as well, as has been coming out in the previous years.
Yeah, thank you, Aman. In terms of, because you were the participant of last 2 years GovHack and you won the memorable
Yeah.
mention as well in both cases. So can you suggest some prototyping tool that the users can use to create and validate their idea using data science, or even without data science, as a participant, as a successful participant? Can you suggest some prototyping tools?
Yeah. So I don't recollect like many prototyping tools on the top of my head. There is one. Um, uh, I think it's called wireframe.net. I think that's the website's name. So what that does is you can go and build and visualize your website or mobile application UI, and just provide some basic screens of how the solution that you've ideated so far would work in a proper phone app. And the beauty of it is that it works as on your phone as well. So you can use your prototype as a real app kind of a thing to just see how your solution would work in real life. But in this case, I think this question, um, uh, I think a better way to actually approach this question would be to get a blog out for some solutions, some products that are like really good or really advisable for prototyping. I'm sure we can just post it on our website as well.
Okay, just let me go back to your data quality, discussion. So, yeah, can it be like, do suggest in such a way the participants can contribute when there are some data quality issues they found. Data quality issues means like there are some null values, or like like a cited data that is actually misguiding, maybe for a machine learning model or something like this. So then can the users can use like some sort of mock data to to prove the hypothesis, and then feedback to the sponsors or the challenge providers. Yeah, the data quality, if you improve your data quality in this way, it will
Hmm.
definitely give a much better you know solution, or much better outcome or accuracy of the model that we are establishing.
Yeah, that's one of the things that um, can be done. Um, so a lot of times, while hypothesizing, you may feel the need of a certain type of feature requirement in your data set, which may not otherwise be available in the real world data that the sponsors have come up with. So you can definitely create some mock data, which is create the data that you would like to have, and If that is successful in proving your hypothesis, then it would still be a very good solution pitch, I feel. Um, yep. And also, one other thing which the participants would should know is that the this year we would be releasing the datasets 1 week ago, um, from the competition start date. So what that would do is basically it'll give you a lot of time to explore datasets and come up with um, what kind of problem that you have to solve before the competition even starts. So I think that's a very that's going to help a lot of participants form teams earlier than the actual competition day as well. Hope that really helps everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Aman, for the discussion. I think the participants will be really, be benefited by this discussion today. And before we closing down, there are few more conference sessions coming in next weeks. So the next one will be UPath 101 presented by Infosys. That will be on robotics process automation on 27th of July, as I said. And there will be another one on 28th of July by AWS, based on that's on open data with QuickSight and Athena. And there will be another session 28th July 6 p.m. Uh, on that is also by AWS. That's quickly build app that scales with AWS Amplify. Then there will be another session by Infosys on 28th of July again on 7 p.m. That's on conversation with Monash University and the Australian Federal Police. And there will be a session on exploring biodiversity data by CSIRO. Please register and join our next conference sessions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.